vote to pass. So we'll go ahead with our meeting. Tommy, if you'll lead us in prayer. There you go.
Relation pledge also.
Pledge, yes.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Lord, we thank you for this day you've given us. Lord, it's a time that we can see, Lord, your handiwork are all around us. Lord, as we do come together as the citizens of Beebe and the council members, the mayor, and all the staff, Lord, we pray that you would just give us the insight, the vision, the wisdom, Lord, as we make decisions to the betterment of our city and our town and people surrounding us. Lord, we ask you blessing in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Alderman Duggar is absent. Alderman Stark.
Here.
Alderman Lindsay. Alderman McCormick. Alderman Lightfoot.
Here.
Alderman McLean.
Here.
Mayor Mike Robinson.
Here.
Mayor Mike Robinson makes the quorum.
We have a long agenda tonight, so just bear with us. It's going to take a little while. And one of the first things we wanted to go over was some Senate bills and House bills that may affect, the city may affect our planning and zoning regulations and could affect income. So city attorney, he's going to go over the Senate and House bills with us all so we can understand what we may, some of it's passed and some of it's still pending.
Let me first start off by apologizing because I'm actually my file with all of my notes on it sitting on my desk. I got my briefcase without it. Luckily, I had some stuff I could print off. First, these are the bills that Mayor Robertson had asked me to look into and see. And first is Act 313. It was House Bill 1503, and it's an act to amend the law concerning municipal regulations to prohibit certain restrictions on regulation of accessory dwelling units and for other purposes. And this has been passed, and it's law, and it'll go into place, I think 90 days after the legislature ends its session. The simple aspect of this particular act is that accessory dwelling units, which is defined, and again, I'll be going off of memory a little bit, so don't hold me exactly to it, but it's basically a small house. Okay, it's got to have a kitchen, it's got to have water to it, various things like that. But it can only be a certain size. It can be up to 1,000 feet or a certain percentage of the single-family residence that's on the property there. And basically what this act does is it prevents municipalities from restricting the use of or imposing more regulations than necessary on accessory dwelling units located on the same lot as a single-family residence. And, I mean, if you read the act, it does, one of the things that's important about it is it establishes it by right, which means there's no public hearing, there's no conditional use, there's no special permit or anything along those lines. It says you can do it and cities can't restrict it. Now, it doesn't take full regulation away. It doesn't take full regulation away regarding that. I mean, it's still, they still have to fall within your normal setback rules and various things like that. But, I mean, the way I read this act, you can't even regulate almost what they look like either. I mean, allowing, so it's been enacted, and we're gonna have to deal with it, and we're gonna have to comply with, compliance starts January 1, 2006, so we're gonna have to look, 2026.
Will there have to be some amendments to our current zoning regulations where there's only one main structure on a lot, and for living purposes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for living purposes, they can put an accessory building out there, and that someone else can live in it. You can also rent it, and there's no regulations on as far as driveways or amount of parking or any such regulation that. All they have to do is make the setbacks from the rear and the side yards, and they can put an accessory building in their yard, and they can rent it.
And this would be like in an R1 area, though. We do have that say, right?
No, you don't
No,
have any say
It can go
left.
anywhere? Are we talking mobile homes too?
No, not yet.
No.
Give it to that.
No, the accessory dwelling unit, the definition of it is a self-contained and independently accessed living unit on the same parcel as a single-family dwelling of greater square footage that includes its own cooking, sleeping, and sanitation facilities, and complies with or is otherwise exempt from any applicable regulatory requirements. It doesn't say that you couldn't turn a small trailer, into one,
Yeah.
for these purposes. Obviously, a larger mobile home probably would not comply because it says if the accessory unit is detached from an detached or attached to a single-family dwelling, it shall not be more than 75% of the gross floor area of the single-family dwelling or 1,000 square feet, whichever is less. So at a minimum, the maximum it can be is 1,000 square feet. Municipality cannot require a lot or parcel have additional parking to accommodate that other unit. It can't require that the accessory dwelling unit match the exterior design, roof pitch, or finishing materials of the single-family unit. I think as most of you know and see, like even in a lot of places, any outbuilding has to match the facade, so to speak, of the house. And not here. You can't require that the single-family dwelling or the accessory dwelling unit be occupied by the owner. You can't require that the people in it be related by family, marital, or employment relationship.
Why did they pass that?
Is this
In the last couple of
is this coming from the tiny house concept, you think?
Yeah, I think it is. Well, in reading what I read leading up to this, and there's another proposed act that will make this one look like this is wonderful compared. But this one has passed. But the design and the purpose and everything I've read, the intention was due to the nature now of effectively saying you have your parents and you want to put them someplace there. You may have a son or daughter and that type of deal. It's to allow for the ability to do things like this. But this one is passed and goes into effect, and we're going to have to address them with our zoning, assuming that the other one doesn't pass. If that's the case, we just take our zoning ordinances and throw them in the trash. We'll get to that one in a little bit. The next one that has passed is Act 314, which was House Bill 1510. And this is an act to amend the law concerning territorial jurisdiction of municipalities, to repeal the authority for a municipality to exercise territorial jurisdiction over an unincorporated area of a county, and for other purposes, and it does just exactly what it says. The municipalities no longer have extraterritorial jurisdiction over unincorporated land. So the 2-mile area beyond the city that the city's been able to exercise its extraterritorial jurisdiction by providing for the zoning and everything.
So we can't do that, but we have to supply fire and we
Nope.
don't, nothing. They're in trouble, aren't they?
Well, that could be the case, yes. I mean, there's ramifications for it. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things that are gonna play out of these acts that we don't know yet, and some we probably can foresee, such as that, when somebody says, well, you know, what do you do? But, you know, basically right now, it's kind of like, that's all we can do. And that's just the simplest way to address that particular one.
So that means they can have slaughterhouses and all that kind of
No,
stuff?
it doesn't.
No?
If it's not in the city limits, they can do anything because the county doesn't have any zoning regulations. But in the territorial jurisdiction, we were more talking about land subdivision development. If a parcel of land lies outside the city limits and they want to develop that into lots and blocks, and normally they would have to comply with our land subdivision development codes, our water lines, our size of our sewer lines for fire protection, all those type of things. They no longer have to do that, but they could still request, say, they have a different water source, but they needed city sewer. And if they don't construct that to our guidelines, we wouldn't necessarily have to give it to them.
Right.
And it wouldn't be a good idea to give somebody that went out there and laid a 6-inch sewer line, and it requires an 8, and then once it's constructed, somebody else wanted to add on later, and then we would be replacing all the other if it was dedicated to the city. So we don't have to.
That one is not as, I don't think it's not as bad. I always liked having that little buffer where you're kind of between the city being able to kind of regulate, because as you know, anything next to the city is something that could possibly come into the city and things like that. But those are the two that have passed.
Wow.
Then we have House Bill 1754, an act to create the Private Property Protection Act to prohibit certain property use restrictions by government entities and for other purposes. This act, and let me pull my actual act up here, apologize, is basically, if this one passes, it puts a standard on the city's ability to restrict. It doesn't say you can't have restrictions and govern everything, but the restrictions have to be necessary and narrowly tailored to fulfill compelling government interest. And that's it. Again, I don't have my highlighted version, so it takes me a little bit to look for what I'm. So for example, that requirement, if someone believes that their property is subject to a restriction that's in violation of again, it has to be limited to restrictions that are necessarily and narrowly tailored to fulfill a compelling government interest. Now, it does not apply to actions that prevent nuisances, enforcement of terms of a license, permit, or authorization, or enforcement actions by governmental entities that are the result of final, non-appealable judicial determination. But it allows the property owner to file suit without having to go through any other administrative remedies if they feel like that the restriction, or for our purpose, say zoning ordinance, whatever it is if they feel like that it is not necessarily and narrowly tailored to fulfill that compelling government interest, that there's not a least restrictive means and a reasonable alternative available. And when they do, the burden shifts to the city to have to prove those three things. And if the city were to lose at the court level, the court would have the right to enjoin the enforcement of that particular restriction and award attorney's fees and cost on it. So it sounds like when you read it at first, it sounds like, oh, well, it's just trying to make sure the cities don't overly regulate, that there's a valid reason for what they're doing, which y'all tend to think through that anyway. But where I see if this one is passed, you as the city council will have to look into it a lot harder and make sure that you feel like that if challenged, you can go to court and meet your burden of proving it to be that way.
Is this like crypto mining?
I don't know who introduced this, but,
It sounds like it to me.
well, but it could be anything. I mean, it's not just gonna be limited to that. And again, the biggest part that jumps out to me is that, one, those are very vague standards. And so there's gonna probably be some trial and error when it happens. And, is this, does this fall within it, does this not? But that one is presently, it's been returned to committee, do pass, so that means the committee is suggested, it's gone to the committee and they're seeking to have it passed, but it's still got a ways to go. Wait, I apologize, I turned pages. It has been introduced, read the first and second time, and referred to Judiciary Committee. So it's just been introduced, nothing has voted on yet.
That was Representative Gonzalez that
Okay.
did this bill.
Then we've got Senate Bill 227. This one is returned by the committee due pass, so that means it's likely going to pass. And it's an act to amend the Freedom of Information Act. Basically, the gist of this one is they go through more about defining what a public meeting is and what has to happen. And what my big take from this is number one, it specifically provides that you cannot poll.
Right.
Okay? Which you cannot do anyway. I mean, that's been something that can't be done forever, but it specifically provides that you cannot do that, and it provides some enforcement behind that if it's a violation. Number two, though, I will say this, one thing that I've seen in it that I do like in this one is it does give the city council the ability, if the city is, after going through what meetings are and two people can't get together and talk and ask how you're gonna vote and go through all of that, it does make a couple of exemptions for some things along the lines of, now they've added cyber attack. You can go into an executive session if somebody has hacked into your computer and looks like that, and y'all can have private discussions about that without having the public know. But also, and one thing that had bothered me to no end being an attorney is if you are in the midst of a lawsuit and you are in mediation that has been court ordered, city council can meet without calling a public meeting and discuss do we want to settle the certain aspects of that. In the past, cities, effectively, you had to discuss whether you wanted to settle something out in public and basically say, well, I think we'd be willing to settle it for $50,000, but why don't you go to them and tell them we'll settle it for 20? Well, guess what? It's public knowledge what you're going to do. But that is one of the good things about this. It does go through a lot about the meetings. It discusses remote meetings, and the way I read it is city council cannot make a quorum up. You have to be physically present under that statute for there to be a quorum. So, for example, on other boards and other things can have someone attend remotely by Zoom or whatever, and that constitute a quorum, but cities can't. Doesn't mean you can't participate in a meeting that way, but you've got to be there in person to be a quorum. So, let me see. Oh, and one thing it did do, it does specify that a little different is that courts may invalidate an action that a governing body takes if it's a direct or indirect result of a prohibited communication. So if, for example, somebody accused the city of polling beforehand and sued the city based upon action taken like that, the circuit court could basically invalidate that action if they found that to be the case. Not, again, that one doesn't necessarily provide a lot of problem if it's passed, because the big thing I got out of it was the no polling, and that's supposed to be been a rule ever since I've been a city attorney, starting in '94. So the next act, and this one I'm not as up on, but know enough to be dangerous, is the Senate Bill 394. And that's an act to amend the law concerning county sales and use taxes for capital improvements to allow a county to refer to voters a change in the allocation and distribution of revenues from the county sales tax and sales and use tax for capital improvements, to prohibit a municipality from pledging revenues from a county sales and use tax for capital improvements, and to repay bonds and for other purposes. And this has been re-referred to revenue and tax right now. So it's a proposal, and it's not enacted yet, and they're still talking about it. Effectively, what it does, these various sections combined, they allow the people to now vote to change the allocation of distribution of revenues among the county and municipalities within the county. If they don't vote to make the change, the tax continues to be collected, and there simply be no change in the allocation. And municipalities can no longer pledge revenues from the taxes levied for the repayment of bonds. Now one thing about the voting on it to make that change, it says that the county's quorum court may refer to the vote a change in the indicated use of the revenues derived from sales and use tax, or may refer to the vote a change in the allocation or distribution of revenues among the county and municipalities if the population of the largest municipality in the county exceeds the population of the unincorporated areas of the county. I don't know, I would assume White County Searcy is the most populous.
Correct.
Would it?
The county has about around 75,000 people, and I think Searcy's somewhere close to 30.
So there's probably a good chance that it might be allowed, but that would be the effect of that one passing and being enacted.
I totally don't understand that. It just seems totally bizarre to me.
It does. Especially in light of the fact that the allocations have already taken place as to what's already out there. But this, if you met that population standard, would allow them to, if they wanted to, they may not, put it out to a vote and reallocate it, which it couldn't have been reallocated before. So that's where the big effect is, and it's not as much in the details of how it can happen as much as that's the bigger effect of it.
That would only affect municipalities and not schools.
Don't know, did not look at it from
They're
that,
not schools.
but I don't think so.
We're talking about, I think, sales and use tax that would be for instance, in the nineties, we passed a county sales tax, where the city gets a part of the sales tax by population. And, so if the county so desired, if it's passed, they could, for some uncertain reason, they could ask the voters to reallocate, and maybe the county received the full portion for some reason that they would say that was a substantial reason that they would want to ask for this. And then basically it could actually bankrupt cities.
Yeah.
It could, would have an effect on it. The final one that I was asked to look at was SB 456, an act to create the Home Opportunities Made Easier Act and for other purposes. This has been returned by the committee with the recommendation that it be passed. This is the one that would effectively strip cities of a lot of its zoning authority. The intention behind the act and the numerous, the language in there that pumps it up basically is trying to say that this is for the purpose of affording people the ability to use their property for traditional uses without unreasonable or discriminatory zoning regulations, and allow those property owners to create more housing. Basically, this act, again, or this proposed act, and again, I don't have what I've already highlighted, so give me a second. Basically, the one thing that the primary thing is now any land where you can put a single-family residence under this act, you can put a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex on it, period.
Tiny home.
It would
Yeah.
be a mixed zoning, more or less, right?
Well, yeah, for example, under this, if this were passed, and somebody can tear down their single-family residence right now under this act and build a quadplex right beside your house, without the city being able to do that. And it does deal with tiny homes and talks, it's a little weird because there is a little bit of carryover because it addresses the ability to do things like that and to allow it, because the purpose is to allow more affordable housing for people, and to allow people to do with their property what they want to do with their property. A local government cannot establish design requirements for the aesthetics of dwelling units, secondary units, and garages unless those design requirements are necessary to protect public health and safety or the structural integrity of the building. That would effectively take out most of your anything. Now, understand, under this act, it does not affect the property owners association's ability to contractually agree that we're going to have only single family residences of X number of square foot, and they have to have architectural shingles on it, etc. Does not prevent that from happening. This act, as well as the other, does prevent the city from saying, hey, you've got to have a bill of assurance and restrictive covenants in there. It prevents the city from being able to do it. But
But a subdivision can have a restrictive covenant.
right. But yeah, if you look at the act itself, the city can't require or prohibit certain architectural styles of homes, including without limitation, Victorians, Craftsman Ranch, or any other style. Can't require certain building materials such as stone, brick, or specific siding. Can't require a certain amount of style or landscaping of the landscaping. unless it's to address drainage. Still get a little control. Require garages or establish architectural requirements for garages. It's effectively just guts the zoning ordinances. It's a simple way to put it. The zoning ordinance, they use a different term, you know, in the other, with the auxiliary buildings, the other one, that had a certain language to use, but here, zoning ordinances must have a real and substantial connection to protecting public health, safety, or reasonable enjoyments and expectations of property. Again, what does that mean? You won't know until somebody.
As we say, yeah, what is unreasonable? I mean,
You won't know that until somebody takes it
free
to
from
court.
unreasonable and
and-
local regulations.
Yep.
Can establish restrictions on secondary dwelling units. Reasonable.
And the problem is, if this one were to
Reasonable.
pass,
That's
if,
reasonable.
if both this and the other one were to pass, you're gonna have some conflicts in it. I did read somewhere where this particular bill had a lot of opposition speaking out against it, but apparently it looks like it may come out of committee. But,
And they can do amendments and
Yeah,
send back
yeah.
in.
it's, again, these that have not passed, that's just what's in them now. If they were passed as drafted, that's what would be in them. There'll be a lot more lobbying, there'll be a lot more talk, there'll be a lot more discussion. And if, I feel likely that if some of them are to get passed, they're not gonna get passed as written now. But the first two are in place, no extraterritorial jurisdiction. The accessory dwelling unit, can't have regulations that are certain restrictions on those, so that will make that one a little tough, and we'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, in the past, an accessory dwelling like that, we would use a special use permit for a period of time if it was a family member and they just needed assisting for that period of time, and then the special use permit would go away, and if they had put some type of manufactured home or something in their rear yard, it had to go away. But now this changes it to
It's
where
by right.
it's permanent, and you can go build one in your backyard, and you can have them park in the yard and walk around to the accessory building.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, about that is, and I've seen this throughout, and through most cities you go to, if you see, and I have seen, I drive by one every day going to and from my house. It's very nice, but it matches the house too, so it doesn't stand out, but can't do that, can't make those requirements.
We all want to do what we want to do with our own property. However, we live in close proximity to one another, and we have to value our own home protection. And so, in some of this, the accessory's bad enough, but if this other were to pass, as I understand it, like Hidden Valley would be the nicest subdivision that we have, and it's an R1, and it wouldn't make any difference if it's an R1 or an R4. R1, guy could build a $400,000 home. Beside him over here, somebody could come in and put a mobile home, manufactured home. On the other side, they could build a house and put in a home occupation of any sort and store their things in their front yard. And across the street, they could build a duplex or a triplex.
Yeah, I forgot to add on that last one, it does allow for certain home businesses, and an example I read was that, so say for example that your neighbor was doing car, like fixing cars. And
Oh, wow.
as an extreme, I mean, they could have cars all out there,
But
so.
if Hidden Valley had a restrictive covenant, that would
That's
protect
a
it.
different
So
story.
they're gonna have to do that.
Now, that's another thing, I don't know, bill of assurances only usually go for an extended period of time, 20, 25 years. That's correct.
Restrictive covenants last, if they're in the deed. If they are in the deed in a restrictive covenant, they're there.
And then, okay, and then, I don't know about the homeowners association. We haven't dealt with
We
that.
don't have those.
I don't know how
Yeah.
that works.
But that's what's coming down, well, that's what's already been enacted and what may be coming down the pike. And the mayor just wanted me to come in and kind of go through them with y'all a little bit so you can kind of either start thinking about them, worrying about them, or put them back behind your, and just wait until they show up. At least you'll kind of know.
I just wish
Can I-
I'd been down there and heard what the bond thing, you know, I mean, I just can't even imagine how that came about. I can't see who's benefiting from that, really.
Can an established subdivision or area, neighborhood, can they retroact a bill of assurance? Can they form, or a homeowners association? Let's say, for instance, that, I don't know, pick any neighborhood. They get a group of individuals together and they get enough, what would take that? A petition of so many members of
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
neighborhood?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what it would take, the numbers or everything, but yes, you could go in at any point in time and set up, establish a homeowners association, prepare and get bill of assurances done, all agree that we're gonna put restrictive covenants in to prevent this. That all can happen, but that's all by agreement. And like I said, I don't know what the numbers would be, but that could be done.
I just think that that's an important option that the citizens might want to know about if it does pass. Just a thought.
Wait and see.
Yeah, that one is, I've done some reading on it, and that one has gotten the most harsh treatment in articles and op-eds and opinions, as opposed to the other ones.
And that is SB 456, correct?
That's the last one, yes, in there. Yeah, SB 456. And the Home Opportunities Made Easier Act is what they call it. I've seen articles where it's based upon something, some other act that some group prepared, and they call it by something else. So I'm sure if you were to look that up, you would get the cross-reference to where it came from.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I thought it'd be important that Randy go over everything with us, and some of them have passed, and that we are gonna have to deal with it. And I know that they could do amendments to the ones that's proposed, and get so far, and then send them back, and they change it up and send it back through. So I would
Like I said, the
expect-
two of them are passed, and two of them have direct effect on the city. And we'll have to address the issues that come up there with the accessory dwelling units, that's the term they use, and extraterritorial jurisdiction, or lack thereof.
Well, we'll move on to our item number 2. Anybody have any other questions? We'll go to item number 2.
All right, Water Department, the financial statements for January and February, because due to the weather, we didn't have a meeting in February, were in the packet.
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the Beebe Water and Sewer financials for January and February 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next is, let Tommy talk, purchase a new vehicle? Okay.
They get a picture of this truck. You send that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Go get a picture of that truck?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
I couldn't remember if they actually got the picture or not. but yeah.
You
Okay.
did.
currently, right now, we've got a piece of equipment that we use to vacuum our sewer and different stuff like that. It's on a big, long trailer, and we're pulling that thing with a truck,
And so our truck is gonna have to be replaced before long. And what I wanna do is purchase this truck here right here and actually take and mount this piece of equipment on the bed of it. So we don't have a truck and trailer and everything going down the road. And I had, found this truck, it's a rider lease truck turned back in. And it's $30,000, and total price is $30,185.
What are you gonna do with the other truck?
Pardon?
What are you gonna, does the other truck, or y'all do anything else with the other truck?
Well, it's an older truck. We're probably gonna eventually sell it.
Okay.
It's like a '96 model truck. Yeah, at some point, yeah. It's just a flatbed truck that we got.
Right, yes, sir.
Motion to approve the funding for the truck for the water department.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to purchase the new vehicle from Ryder for $30,185. All those in favor? Any opposed? The next will be the information from DEQ, the administrative order. I don't know if you or Kyle want to do that one.
Yes, this is the extension of, we already had an administrative order before. This is in conjunction with building our wastewater treatment plant. And so we ran out of time on getting this thing completed, and so we have to have an extension to extend it out. And so we're looking at tracking, getting close to being finished with this thing probably at the end of April. So,
We have to have a resolution in order to extend that out. Is that not, that's correct, right, Colin?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so the resolution. Okay. So the resolution will give the mayor and I the consent to, or the mayor, not me, to sign the document, to sign the documents.
Make a motion for the mayor to accept the DEQ administrative order to extend wastewater project.
yes.
Okay, well, can we do the resolution, because that will handle that, okay.
Absolutely.
So he's gonna take his motion off the table. How do you want me to read this resolution?
Title only.
Dispense the second, third readings.
Okay, title only.
I will.
Jacob, are you seconding that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion and a second to read resolution number 2025-01 by title only. All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 2025-01, a resolution authorizing the city of Beebe to enter into a consent administrative order with the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment Division of Environmental Quality, which is known to us as DEQ. Okay, I need a motion to adopt the resolution as read.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman, he's absent. Alderman Duggar's absent. Alderman Stark.
Yes.
Alderman Lindsay is absent. Alderman McCormick.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman McLean.
Yes.
Okay, that passes, and we'll get that signed. And Tommy, you have one more item, sewer main capacity? Okay.
Yes. And so, this is, in reference to the Hidden Valley, the future phase and build out, of that project. And so we've been asked if we would extend the sewer service to provide sanitary sewer to that area. And so we had talked about it, I think, and briefly a couple of times last year of running it out there and not running it out there. So, I think we're at a pivotal point where the city needs to decide if we want to expand out there or not. And so, Kyle had put together, I think the mayor sent it out to you. Basically, there's a couple of ways that we can do that. We have to run a new main out there, because currently everything is in Hidden Valley right now. After they build out this final stage, I think of 130 more homes, that sewer line out there is gonna be at capacity. And so for any more future building out there, we would either need to provide sewer out there, or they would have to either let Salco do the sewer or not build it.
Now, Salco's not in the sewer business. They never have been in the sewer business, but doesn't mean that they couldn't get in the sewer business at some point in time, but they would have to build their own system. But basically, and I'm the one that asked Tommy to get this on the table and go ahead, because it's been 1 year since we discussed this. And this phase 6 is the final phase, 150 lots, I think approximately, that's gonna be built. After that, there'll be no more construction anywhere in that area until the city either puts in a gravity flow line or another pump line, because they will be at capacity on the current that has run from our sewer plant that way. So, Mr. Sal had met with me, and he said, we just need an answer. Are we done, or is there gonna be some other option? The only other option would be that Salco would build some sort of treatment plant. And so.
I guess we probably need to decide on whether to go with the gravity or the pumps.
That's correct. If we're gonna have any more homes out west and keep expanding our city, we need to know if we're gonna have an additional line that will accommodate additional growth, and it'd be gravity flow or pump.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know if we want to get into the weeds at this particular meeting or not, because there's a lot of different caveats to go with it. I think we really need to kind of come together and find out, do we want to, advance out there in that area? Because, I mean, if we feel like we do need to, then, of course, like I said, Kyle had put together some preliminary things. There's a couple different ways you can do it. There's a lot of discussion, if we decide we want to. If we don't want to decide to do it, there's no need to discuss it.
How much more growth potential's out that way?
Pardon?
How much more growth potential's out that way?
We can grow all the way to Stony Point.
All the way to, let's fix it all the way back to the stove.
Yeah, I mean, what were they proposing on the front end? And, they can quit any minute too. A developer can just all of a sudden say, I'm done. We put an investment in there, but they're done. If they own the property, nobody else has an opportunity to develop it until someone sells.
Right.
But, so,
I think there's about 400 lots, based on preliminary full build out, there's about 400 lots left that are future, and that would be basically extending all the way to Swinging Bridge Road.
Is that owned by the same builder?
Yes.
Okay. So the potential for a 400 lot growth, is that additional to the 150?
Yes.
So we're talking 550.
It was originally figured at around 700 lots.
Okay.
The 400 is, you can't do any more than the current 140 is what they're building right now in
Right.
phase 6. You're done, unless you do any improvements, that would be an additional 400 plus whatever additional acreage you want to plan for in the future, say west and stuff, Swinging Bridge.
But nothing happens if we don't extend sewer out to that area. So that means those 400 lots, unless Salco jumps in and starts doing sewer. It's a lot of lots, it's a lot of homes.
Well, and also too, if we decided to move forward with it, there would be some other opportunities on Matheny and different places over there that could potentially build out that we're not even thinking about today.
Yeah, I mean, if this passes, that's a heck of a apartment complex. Sorry. Probably bad time for that joke. I think we gotta figure out a way to get sewer out there. That's my opinion. How we do it in the most cost-effective way, I don't know that answer. I'm not a sewer guy.
Okay, I put together this little sheet right here, so it's just something to kind of chew on in the days to come, where, there's two different options that you can do. And they both have pros and cons about both of them. And of course, the option one there, if we, so choose to do it, would be to run a gravity flow sewer main out there. And of course, I had advantages on there. The existing pumping station is out there now. That would be removed. And of course, we're gonna have a monthly cost on that. Even if we don't decide not to build out there, that station's in place and it will be ours and we will have to maintain it. And so, and then the future repairs, upgrades, and then we could see some, additional, customers and areas adjacent to future sewer service there. And then, of course, a disadvantage to it is just it's a larger upfront cost. But long-term, it would be a better fit. And of course, the option two there is to run a force main out there. And so the station that's currently that Kendall just put in, we would have to upgrade that station with probably some different pumps and electrical. And then just the daily operation of that. And then, of course, some of the disadvantages of that to be, if anything else added out there, it would have to be additional pump stations put in.
Which we would maintain after.
Which we would maintain.
After the
So,
building.
so if we decided that we want to invest in that, I mean, you could do either one. It would be just how we feel like we would want to do.
So is there any sort of numbers on what the upkeep of a gravity flow sewer main is? I mean, is it,
It's basically, there is some, but, yeah, negligible, no pumping costs, or no
Right.
maintenance costs. Over time, it'll depreciate, you'll have to, do some repairs. Or
right?
I&I, production,
But eventually, a gravity flow feeder or a main would offset even its upfront cost. Just, the
Yes.
return of investment is
Yes.
maybe an extreme one, but
Yes.
as long as Beebe's here,
Yes.
a gravity flow
Yes.
sewer line.
payback is too long for developers.
I understand that. Well, they get to give away their pumps anyways. I mean, I get it. Or they get to, I mean, we end up taking care of the pumps anyways.
How this would normally, assuming y'all would go financing around like through ARC or USDA, probably the cheapest, or private placement, probably 800 basis points more right now, but normally, if you go through a governmental financing, USDA or ARC, you have to do a preliminary engineering report. That's where we would investigate all the weeds, dig into all that, concept design, pros and cons. That would be done at that stage, and that's in order to submit a financing application as part of that requirement. But I think right now, if you just, the main thing is, do you want to invest in that area or not? If so, there's some things that have to be done to look at financing and give you options, otherwise, you move forward, you don't want to go there.
Well,
I think with the potential, we just about have to invest in it. I mean, we can't.
that's the growth area, there is no other direction to go. We may get a few homes here and there, but there is nowhere else to go. And you think about, right now, we've built a lot of homes in the last 5 years. And the demographics show that, and that's why you see Seven Brew and these other companies coming to town, Tire Plaza, they're all coming to town. If we're gonna continue to grow, we gotta grow residentially, and we have to grow residential, it's gonna bring commercial. So I think you either say, we don't want BB to grow, or we have to invest in our systems, water and sewer.
I guess I need to know what, I mean, are we just making a decision that yes, we want to grow that way tonight, and then we're deciding which way at a different time? Or do we need to make a decision between option one and option two tonight? Because I'm not prepared to make a decision. on
No,
option
we
one
wouldn't
and
have
option
to
two tonight.
do
I
the
don't think we
option
have
one.
to
or
make a decision tonight, this is just something that we can't continue to put off, and we have to start talks, and then if we wanna have a couple of working meetings, and,
Yeah.
no, we only intended to make a decision tonight, but then, even the developers can come into the meeting and have discussion with us. But if we wanna hold a couple of meetings, and before we try to make a decision on this, I think, and look at the options of whether or not you're gonna have an impact fee on, lots of $1,000 or $1,500 a lot. And if you're gonna charge more for a new development in sewer cost than you do in the older part of town, and then what's left, we have to divide up.
I certainly think with that, we need to focus on growing. I think what we need to talk about at this working meeting is what is gonna be the most economical and beneficial way to pay for it.
When we took this job on, because we didn't think that possibly that the city was being progressive enough, and so then we took it on to be progressive. So here we are making these decisions.
Yeah, what I would say is, I absolutely think we need to grow out that way. I lean towards a gravity flow. To me, that seems to make more sense. How we pay for the gravity flow is what I think that we need to figure out. I mean, I want to be a good steward of our finances and what our citizens pay for. So how we do that is what in my opinion, I think is what we need to discuss. To go and put in a bunch more pump stations, and by the way, if you disagree with me, that's fine, but in my opinion, to go put in a bunch of pump stations and keep adding pump stations and keep adding and replacing pump stations, the more parts you add to anything, the more expensive something costs. So to me, a gravity flow system makes sense. Less moving parts, less overall cost.
Now,
in the
Tommy,
long
where
run.
would your gravity flow system, where we can understand it, come from? Where are we gotta go to pick it up?
Okay, so it would
Give us
be,
a
it would tie
vision.
back into the line that's running across Skelton's property, right now to where 31, and the interstate is.
So the property where they've been working on and
Yes.
developing and that.
Yeah, so that would basically follow I guess that's Gum Creek, is that right, Gum Creek? We'd follow Gum Creek around. We would do that with both pipes, either way we go. That's the way we'd have to go. To run that over there. So. Well, like the mayor said, it's something that, I mean, obviously, we don't have to make a decision tonight on it, but it's something we're gonna have to, at some point, decide, do we want to or do we not want to?
Who would go about giving us the options on the best way to proceed with the gravity flow?
Well, Tommy, you have several bond issues out there right now. And so would the bonding company look at what we are now in our debt ratio, and what we would have to do to add this on, and so can we get that done?
Yes.
What do you think, Tracy?
Yeah, like I said, there's a couple ways we can do that, is like, we wanna maybe charge an impact fee, and maybe even have a different revenue for sewer revenue for those customers out there. There's a lot of ways, a lot of things to look at, but yes.
Well, that would be, I mean, that's what I think we need to do, is look at,
Well, in the coming
Ways that-
days, then what we'll do is we'll send out an email and we'll try to establish when somebody can meet, and we'll get with Tommy, give him some time first to talk to, the bonding company, and then Kelly will get a plan, and then we'll come back to y'all and try to get a meeting.
that's perfect. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah, so,
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we're ready to go to planning and zoning. Thank you, Water Department. The first is the minutes of December, 2024.
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of P and Z for December 3rd of 2024. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the next would be the preliminary plat for Hidden Valley. James, you got anything to add?
This is the phase 6 that we discussed a while ago, about 145 lots.
this is the final before we have to do something.
Yes.
Motion to approve the preliminary plat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat for Hidden Valley Phase 6.
Can I ask a question real fast?
Uh-huh.
Never mind, I'm good.
I have a motion to accept the preliminary plat for
Pump station.
Hidden, Hidden Valley Phase 6. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, new P and Z member?
Greg Webb, yeah, I put a letter, his letter in the pack. And he was voted unanimous out of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I believe we have a vacant spot, do we not?
Yes, Ward 3. Doug Warner is no longer with us.
I'll make a motion that we accept Grant Webb's
Second.
recommendation.
Okay, I have a motion and second to accept the recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission to place Grant Webb on the P and Z Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is me. Okay. Okay, the financials for February and January and February were in the packet.
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept the financials for the months of January and February 2025 for the city of Beebe. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next item is an asset item, and William and I are gonna tag team this one. Okay, so they are, they have a vehicle, a 2012, 2011 Ford F-50, and they are, time to get rid of it, and Greenbrier is willing to purchase it for $45,000. We have gotten bids, 3 of them, and Greenbrier came in with the highest bid.
Right,
They are ready, I mean, like, they got the check written.
they're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
We had the truck that appraised, and the approximate value from 2 different companies was $45,000 was the highest value, and $35,000 was the low. We had 2 bids, besides Greenbrier, and both of those were lower than Greenbrier's bid. So I think they're ready to go. They got the check wrote out, so it's just a matter of approval from you guys.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to allow the 2011 Ford F-150 with the VIN number of 909519, asset number is 08101, to be sold to the city of Greenbrier's Fire Department in the amount of $45,000, and to remove this item from our asset list. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, and then, sorry.
I had, just one more thing on their desk.
Huh?
I just had one more thing that I put on their desk.
Yes.
It was included in the bid for the 2024 Chevy 2500 that we bought. I just wanted to give you guys an itemized estimate of the equipment that went on the truck, but it was included in the original bid, so it's not something extra that
Did you
we're
give me a
buying.
copy of that?
Yeah, I've got one. I think I gave you one, but if I didn't, I'll get it to you in the morning. But you need it now?
He's not gonna need his.
When he is. You're right. Okay. Sorry.
That's all I have.
Okay, so this was included in the bid, but because we're gonna pay for it separately, it will, my accounts payable lady is sitting right over there, she wants this approved. And this will come out of our county fire tax money.
Yes, right.
So,
Make a motion to accept the $18,766. It's not additional.
No, it's not
It's-
additional funds.
It would be funds that were already approved on the purchase of the vehicle.
right, but when the auditors look at this, they're gonna say, they're gonna want this approved.
Okay. I'll second it.
Agree? Yeah. It's kind of odd the way we have to do things,
Yeah,
so,
that's-
okay. I have a motion and a second to allow, the $18,766 $2 bill to be paid to Dave's Fire Equipment. This is equipment that's going on the new fire truck that we just purchased. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we have one other item. As you know, that the citizens were gracious enough to, in 2022, well, in 2021, we started getting the money in 2022. We got a sales tax, a percentage for our fire department. We have been managing that in the general fund. That money was to be used to allow us to have new firemen come aboard as full-time firemen. I think we're up to 6 now. We have been managing that in the general fund. It has gotten a little, and I'm gonna give kudos to Stephanie who worked for me, and now Rebecca. They really are keeping a good spreadsheet of that, but it's come to the point now, the mayor and William and I have had a conversation that we feel like that money needs to be removed from the general fund and have its own account. And then we will pay the firemen, the full-time firemen, out of that account. So it's, there'll be no more money or anything. There's nothing weird. It's just gonna be a little more manageable for us, and it'll be a little better for the fire department to kind of see where they're at, because it won't all be intermixed with the general fund money. So we have to have that in the minutes that you guys are gonna allow me to open a new account.
Motion to approve the opening of a new checking account for the fire department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to allow me to open a new checking account. I don't know yet, I haven't bid it out yet, so as soon as I know, I will come back and let you guys know where that's gonna be. All those in favor? Any opposed? Mr. Mayor, that's all I got out of the clerk's office.
In addition to the fire department, while we're still on it, I sent you an email with some pictures in the entire of Station 2, and the soffits, the roof, gable areas, everything needs to be repaired, and it's unusable, basically, the way it is. So if it's okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start making repairs to that and get it taken care of. Then, I'm required to give you a financial report for 2022 by statute, and to save, I knew it was gonna be a long meeting, and so to save time, I emailed you the financial of 2024, and also placed it on the city webpage for the citizens and news media. If you'd like a copy of that, we can get it to you in addition, but you can get it off of our page right now.
The news media, they have it. Pardon? The news media has it in their packet. I've handed them.
Give them one.
I already
Okay.
did it.
In addition to that report, as I was giving it a little more thought about that, and of course, your vision and insight into the growth area, I think we've done very well for our finances. We've expanded, but in addition to what I had sent you, the city has acquired 90 acres on the interstate, and you can put the 90 acres with a value of $3 million that we have purchased and improved, cleared and improved over the last 2 years at $3 million. So, thank you for that. And it's debt-free. We're all debt-free on it. Everything's paid for up to date. Also, I had put on here land subdivision development cleanliness, and so there's a couple of ordinances, and I'm gonna get them to Brandy, and I think that we should look at 2019-6 and 2021-1, and one of them is, the 2019-6 is dealing with cleanliness throughout the town, and the other one is dealing with streets and roads and the developers, and where we have seen complete destruction in a couple of areas, and so I wanna get with Randy, and I think we'll try to maybe combine those and, bring them back to you on that for, hopefully, we can pass that. The Community Plaza subdivision out there, we've been talking for a long time about, we sold, Lot 9, Lot 3, and 4, and Lot 9 was ready to close on it. So they emailed me, and I'm sorry, they emailed me today, and they were wanting this information for closing. And so we have an affidavit and a resolution to pass, basically, the council to approve the sale of it to Community Bank. Carol?
Okay, this was emailed out to you right at the end of the day, so, we have to have a couple of things. We have to have this resolution passed, and then, sure, and then we'll put in the minutes that you all are going to allow the sale of the property. So it's gonna be resolution number 2025-02.
Motion to read title only?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second to read resolution number 2025-02 by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 2025-02, a resolution authorizing Mayor Mike Robinson to enter into a contract to sell Lot 9, Community Plaza subdivision, Beebe, White County, Arkansas, that is currently owned by the city of Beebe. I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Sean,
Yes.
Jacob,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
That passes. Now we need a motion to, let's go ahead and do this because this doesn't have the amount.
What do you think for the affidavit?
Just approving the sale.
So do we need to approve the amount? Or is this gonna work? Okay,
I think that'll work.
okay, never mind then.
We have the contract.
Okay, all right, never mind. We think this will work. Every title company wants something a little different, so.
Oh, boy.
All right. Street Department?
Yeah, on the, street department, we had, did everybody have those or not? Do we have anything on that, or
No.
do I have it?
You have it, you never sent it to me.
Okay. We have taken a couple of lawnmowers out of service, and we need a new mower for the street department. We have two prices here, and one of them is for a John Deere, and one of them is for a Grasshopper. The John Deere is $18,250, and I think you said we'd have to add back about another $1,000. They went up to about $19,250. And the Grasshopper is $17,845, and that's the one that Jack has recommended that he would like to purchase.
Where from? Where are they from?
Send that on down first.
Does Bull Creek offer an equivalent piece of?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. Have you been?
I haven't been to Mill Creek, no.
I know they sell Spartan, they sell
No.
Bad Boy.
I'm not sure, did they change over to Bad Boy, or they still have Spartan?
I'm not for sure. I just know it's a local business. I'd like to see a quote from them. I mean, just, you know, if they have something equivalent, if they don't have anything equivalent, absolutely. Well, let's go get it. But
I
if
know
they
they're
have
selling
something,
Bad Boy tractors, but I'm not sure if they're selling the Bad Boy mowers, or still selling
They are.
Spartan. What?
They've got Bad Boy mowers.
No Spartan? I don't know. Maybe both, I don't know.
I just know they're
I
local.
think they still got Spartans.
I just know they're local. So, I mean, if they offer something equivalent, I'd like to see a quote from them. Do we have enough, I mean, I don't mind even meeting one day this week to get it approved if it's an emergency. I'm just,
You wanna take this then and go back and get, see if what they've got equivalent to this grasshopper?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, we'll do that.
Once we get it, I'll send out a text or email.
Yeah, like I said, I don't mind
See
even
if
get
we
back
can
together
meet,
if we need to,
okay.
and get it approved if you're in a pickle to get it, you know, but
Do you think you
He's
can
fine.
get here on time?
come on, Tracy.
I mean, we're getting,
It's cut me deep. What
we're
time, I
getting
thought,
rid of a couple of bad boys, I think that was 2007 models or 9 models, 2009 models maybe.
3,000 hours.
Yeah.
And so they've been good mowers.
Yeah.
I don't have a bit of problem with the bad boy mower. You know, they make commercial grade, so.
yes, sir.
I have an ordinance.
Yeah, okay, we also have a request from the police department on cars that we discussed last month.
We would like to get 3 cars, it's our own cars, no more seizure cars. So actually, they got a lot of high miles on them anyway. One is a Camaro, one's a Kia, and the other's a Crown Vic. We'd like to replace those with 2 new Dodge Durangos, one for patrol and one for CID. Dodge is running a rebate until June the 30th, $2,500 each off each vehicle. The total price for 2 new Dodge Durango police cars would be $82,462.
How much?
$82,462
Are these police package?
That's a police package.
Off the state bid, where, do we know where you would get them from?
Red River and Beaver Springs.
Is that equipped?
We've already got the camera systems and the new digital radios for them. By the way, we got our new digital radio system up and running, and it's one nice.
Awesome. So you don't think there'd be any additional upfitting cost,
There'll be some additional upfitting costs, but I couldn't tell you.
but won't know until vehicles are.
Okay, you said 3. 2, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said-
Three,
You read 3, that's, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, we can't get rid of those until it goes through council. Okay. So we're not getting rid of anything yet. All we get is approval to purchase these. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the funding for the 2 new Durangos.
Second.
Are these on state bid? Okay, I have a motion to purchase 2 police package vehicles on state bid from Red River for the total of the 2 vehicles of $82,462. I'm gonna call the roll. Sean?
Yes.
Jacob?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Do we need to go ahead and make a motion for you to sell the other 3?
No, not until I've looked at them and got all the information.
Beautiful.
I will bring it back to you.
All right, yes, ma'am. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Police Department expansion.
I sent you out, some pictures today and a brief summary of the police department expansion. And so that's on the table for discussion. I had met with Nathan over there and, talked to him about it and what I thought maybe it would cost and, so we agreed that we believe that it can be done for the price that I gave you and, here's what I said, I sent you. We're talking about doing the renovations now and improvements of the inside, go ahead and do the outside and close that one corner. 4 offices.
Yeah.
No, I'm,
and court security.
yeah, no, I'm all about this. I've been pushing for something for our police station for the past few years. I like for them to have a. Sean, you can probably speak way more to this than I can.
We've already put a brand new fire system in over,
Yeah, and I know they're gonna they're doing stuff on the outside,
yes.
that they're gonna make, upgrading doors and painting it and all that stuff. I mean, the additional 4 offices, I think, would be pretty huge, would it not? With court security and things like that. So do you need a motion to approve the expenditure, or do you need,
I think we can go ahead and, let's do this, let's go ahead and make a motion for, to go out, I can have
Go
a
out bid.
local guy kind of draw that up,
Mhm.
and, won't cost us very much for that, plan,
Mhm.
and then we'll get some, go ahead and go out for bids on, the project, get some local bids on it.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion to allow Mayor Robinson to go out for bids, to have a plan drawn up and go out for bids for the police department expansion project. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I have an ordinance. Okay, we have an ordinance. Just covering the gamut tonight. This is on the truck that we've already purchased. You guys allowed that, but, we didn't have a meeting in February, so we're kind of backtracking. Would you all like me to read it to you?
Motion to read by title only.
Second.
One of these days, y'all are gonna fool me. Have a motion and a second to read ordinance number 2025-02 by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance to waive the requirement of competitive bidding for the purchase of a street department vehicle, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Need a motion to adopt the ordinance as read.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Duggar's absent. Alderman Stark.
Yes.
Alderman Lindsey's absent. Alderman McCormick.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman McLean. I need a motion to dispense with the second and third readings.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Alderman Stark.
Yes.
Alderman McCormick.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman McLean.
Yes.
Alderman Duggar and Alderman Lindsey are absent. I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Stark.
Yes.
Alderman McCormick.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman McLean.
Yes.
Alderman Duggar and Alderman Lindsey are absent. That ordinance passes.
Got everything.
I think so.
I think that's everything.
I tried to have it as organized as possible.
I tell you what, Mayor, I'm tired of reading
Yes.
all the stuff you sent out.
All right. I told you last month it's gonna be a long one.
What about the,
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Oh, wait a minute.
So moved.
Second.
No, hang on,
Okay.
hang on.
Come on. Sorry. We're sorry. Go ahead.
So, my name is Kevin Mayette. I live at 161 Hayden Drive. I approached this Western Green about talking through some issues I'm having with water drainage on my property, which is on the western side of Hidden Valley subdivision. I've had the mayor at my house, Mr. Squires, Kyle has been out there. I've involved about as many people as I know to get involved. However, I've talked with, sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the developer's name, Kendall, pardon, about digging a trench behind my house. Originally, the landowner behind me, there's a 5-acre plat behind my house. that the water from the subdivision originally flowed across his property. And the city had recognized that there was a drainage issue there and put that culvert through the property before it was sold to me. Obviously, Stephanie Smith allowed that. The city cut the trench, cut a culvert, behind, through my property and dumped it into an area in behind that I'm not sure that it was clear who owned the property, because frankly, that dumps onto the person's property in behind my home that owns the 5 acres. So, that being said, Mr. Kendall Barton was gonna dig a spillway through there, but the person that owns the land, the 5 acres, refused to allow them access to that area. In turn, since the last time we've met, Mr. Mayor, that person that owns that 5 acres has constructed an earthen berm with concrete, and so the water no longer flows across their property, which I think is a violation of the common enemy water clause or laws for the state. However, that doesn't resolve the issue. Mr. Mayor, you and I talked about the possibility of cutting something through there to allow that water to flow. And at this point, I'm at the end of my suggestions, and I need some help, because since the person dug that berm or built the berm, now all of the water flow from that subdivision flows into my backyard on a heavy rain. So.
I think at the time, and this is good night, our city attorney's here, and he'll be able to go back and he'll be able to look at this and come back and tell us what we may or may not can do. At the time that we looked at it was at the time that the plat did show a swell across the back of the people's property at the end of Jamie Lane and down to the city property to allow the water to flow back across the back of the city property there and hit that little creek. Since that time, there's been a lot of legal actions back and forth between Mr. Barton and the people that own Jamie Lane, and Jamie Lane would, they would not allow that swell, and it was a sodded swell, to be placed in there. And that did therefore create a problem from the proposed plat. I don't know where we're at now on this, but, Randy's gonna have to sort this one out now.
I've been in contact with ADEQ. They say they have no jurisdiction. It's not causing an environmental issue in their opinion. There's been a very extensive study that Mr. Barton forwarded to me that was done a year, possibly a year and a half ago. Pretty thick packet with pictures and description of the water flow and the water issues. Now, originally, Mr. Barton had built a catch pond there, and there's still a silt fence, but now the water has no place to go. And I'm really in a bind, especially if the city has some intentions on building a softball park at some stage in that area. That water drainage has got to be addressed, and currently my backyard is unusable. So Mr. Barton knew that it was wet, Mr. Sal knew that it was wet, the builder knew that it was wet, and in fact, when I talked to Mr. Barton about the area there, he said that they couldn't even build a house on that spot until August when it dried up. There's still a tremendous water issue in this area that I got to have some help. And it's not just myself, I've got a couple of neighbors that are being impacted by water flow, especially when we get a heavy rain.
I agree, you have a problem.
What is your address?
161 Hayden Drive.
161 Hayden Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
So if I could have my wish, that would be for the city to possibly do exercise eminent domain over that one little strip behind my property line and the barbed wire fence that you and I looked at, Mr. Mayor. That's, because I honestly don't think that those people knew they owned that property until the survey was completed by the subdivision because of the existing fence that was there, for Mr. Sal's property.
Okay, then, if you will, let Randy get to work on this and see exactly what legal challenges there may be with all this. And what Mr.
Apparently-
has any,
In my conversations with Mr. Squires, he's apparently put some new drainage laws or
Well,
Whatever, yeah.
The council passed a drainage ordinance that was a part of our subdivision development. When that portion of the subdivision was done, it was not there at the time.
Right, right. However, the new subdivision, the new aspects of the subdivision, it is included. So drainage is a big part. I can see a lot of concrete culverts in, especially like the phase 5 and 6 of the Hidden Valley. However, in my area, there is not. So water's gonna go somewhere, and right now it's going, all of it's going through my backyard. There was a swell dug along the southwest, section of where they're building new houses out there now on Michelle Lane, and that swell's very effective. It funnels all of that water right into my backyard, so, anyway,
Kevin, what is your last name?
Maillet, M-A-I-L-H-I-O-T.
Sorry, M.A.
M-A-I-L-H-I-O-T.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Just whatever we do, I went to the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, and they told me this would be my next step.
we understand, but, it's a challenge for us too.
Absolutely.
We're on private properties. And we did not have any, city did not accept any responsibility in the drainage in that area. We did not have that drainage ordinance, and so that was left up to the developer.
Yeah, agreed. It
Pretty
is
much
a,
he did what he wanted to do at
it
that
is a
time.
complex issue, yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you for your time. That's right.
What was your first name?
Kevin?
Motion to adjourn.
Are we done?
You got an email to leave with?
Second. Got a motion and a second to adjourn the City of Beebe council meeting. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?